Hello, I'm Abby Cameron, Executive Director of Three Rivers Community Foundation. We all want everyone in our community to be safe, housed, and have enough to eat. We are fortunate to have 501c3 organizations who support these critical needs and create opportunities for everyone to thrive. These organizations have been awarded grants from Three Rivers' annual grant program. Through this program, nonprofits in Benton and Franklin counties apply for grants to fund their programs that are meeting the most pressing needs amongst our neighbors. We're happy to support these organizations and have them tell you about their important work.
Well, our mission is basically to keep people in their own homes living independently as long as possible. Our focus is on providing nutrition to seniors, helping them stay connected to the community, making referrals to outside sources as needed. Well, our home delivery is sky high right now. We're serving over 600 home delivered folks every week, which is not quite double what we did a couple years ago. So I think we're up about 25% from exactly a year ago on home delivered meals, serving about 4,500 meals every week. Having those meals impacts not just the senior, but also their families. We have families who are, trying their very best to take care of their loved ones. It's really about peace of mind for a lot of our folks. Thanks to funding from outside sources like Three Rivers Community Foundation, we're able to offer services far beyond just a daily meal to our seniors. We have a pet food program, we've delivered groceries to our seniors, and we're just able to address the needs of the clients as they arise. We just wouldn't be who we are today without Three Rivers.
Habitat's mission is really to put God's love into action by building homes and stability in our communities. We have built over 130 homes in the last 26 years. Right now, we are in our current project of 11 homes in East Pasco on Cedar Street. Each of our homeowner partners or families have to meet 3 minimum criteria to qualify for a home. The first is a willingness to partner with Habitat, understanding our mission and who we are. As a faith-based organization, what drives us to do the work is our Christian faith, but that doesn't mean it's a requirement for families partnering with us. And we partner with families from all different walks and all different faiths, volunteers from all parts of the community, and staff and board members from equally as diverse part of the community as well. The second requirement for each successful homeowner family is the need for housing. There has to be a specific need. We are here to help alleviate that burden and provide a pathway towards equity through home ownership. But there has to be the need. Each family has to identify what that need is. And then finally, each family has to be able to pay back a low interest mortgage. So the homes are not free, contrary to a popular myth. We do not give away homes, but really we partner with the families, and they have to be able to pay back a very low interest mortgage. Thank you, Three Rivers, for the grant and for the opportunity to apply for this grant. We decided this year to try to get a bit more creative with our request. So this grant is for matching, to match the dollar for dollar fundraising that we're able to do in the first part of the next year. And all of those proceeds will go to helping us do what we do out here, buying construction materials, buying land, and all of the materials costs that it takes to build a home and what goes on inside. The greater impact is the partnership that we get to have with other organizations in our community that care about this community and want to see it grow, and not just grow and develop as a luxury community, but really considering who the people are, the families are at the other end of the spectrum as well. And so while the grant money is specifically measurable, the real impact is not. It's much more broad and deeper than what the grant really entails. Really, what's the biggest impact on what Habitat's been able to do is bring volunteers back to the site. So while our construction is considered essential because we do construction with government dollars for low-income families, the ability to actually do the construction, which we rely on volunteers for, has been the biggest impact to our timelines and what we're able to do on the site. In addition to the construction site, COVID has impacted our store quite quite a lot in that we had to close down the store. But we are open, so if you are looking for some good thrift store finds, please consider the store in Richland. At this point, I just want to thank Three Rivers again for partnering with us and for giving us the opportunity to use your grant money towards affordable housing in our area, for the support that Three Rivers and other organizations as well give to Habitat. We could not do anything in this community without your support, and also to our volunteers who make it happen. Thank you to everybody, and thank you on behalf of the families that we are able to serve.
Elijah Family Homes fosters hope, dignity, and self-sufficiency through stable housing for families seeking recovery. We run 2 programs, the Transition to Success program, which houses families in recovery, and the Parent-Child Assistance program, which helps women who have used substances during pregnancy with the goal of preventing any future drug-affected babies. The grant that Three Rivers Community Foundation is giving us is going to help pay for the case management of our TTS clients. What that means is they have somebody to help them through their process and meet them where they're at. And they're trying to help them deal with adversities that they may not have dealt with in a long time. Things such as dealing with recovery, learning new ways to live life, even as sometimes as basic as cooking, while other times it can be as complex as helping families reunify and work through debt and try and get a financial stability under their feet by the time they leave the program. The case management in Transition to Success is foundational. It's one thing to put a roof over someone, it's another thing to meet them where they're at and help them succeed in their goals. Three Rivers Community Foundation has been integral to Elijah Family Home's success. They have been able to help us through grants throughout many years. Most recently, there have been 2 grants to deal with the COVID pandemic and emergent problems. And this newest grant is going to help us pay for case management. Without this kind of support, Elijah Family Homes simply couldn't do what we do. Grants allow us to focus on our program, and they allow us to share that with the community, and therefore we're able to transfer funds from many organizations and foundations that have direct missions that align with Elijah Family Homes. What this does is it creates program strength and it creates program stability by being able to know exactly how much we have to spend and what we can grow on. And quite simply, we really couldn't do what we do without grants from many organizations in our region. So the folks who end up living in Elijah Family Home are in early stages of recovery. And specifically, what that means is they've had a history of drug abuse and many times homelessness. And what that ends up being many times is a criminal history. And unfortunately, once somebody has a criminal history, specifically a felony, they're not able to get into public housing, which is designed to help low-income families have affordable housing. So right now, we're looking at a situation where in the Tri-Cities, only 2% of all rentals are actively and open available, which means landlords can be extremely picky with who they choose as their tenant if they don't have this extra support through Benton or Franklin HUD organizations. Elijah Family Homes realized that poverty and addiction are cycles, right? This is something that we've seen time and time again. And what an Elijah Family Home does, along with the case management, is it gives our clients the ability to raise up themselves, right? It gives them the ability to pay off those fines that are keeping them continually within poverty. And really what it's doing is providing stability for their children. And so they can grow up in a household that has their bills paid, that has clean dishes, that has food every single day, that has a sense of normalcy that can help start to break that cycle of chaos that is associated with addiction and homelessness.
When I first moved in, I was living in my mom's. I was struggling. I lived in a couple Oxford houses before that, and I was kicked out. And then I heard about Elijah Family Homes, and they said you have to have 1 year clean, and and children, and due to my background and everything, that I could be potentially a candidate. And so I applied, and once my year came up, I was provided a home. The beginning of my recovery, I was struggling, and so with the low income, I was able to pay rent. I was able to, go to my work, go to all the court dates that I had, and a year and a half later, I was able to get custody of my middle child. I was able to maintain a job. I paid off my Washington collectors. I paid off all my fines. They offered me like a financial advisor who helped me better manage my money, which has helped a lot because, when you don't have any money, it's like, how do you even manage that? But there's really good tools that they offered. With Elijah Family Homes providing me with, housing, it helped me, not reach out to people that could harm me. It gave me my own place and, a shelter for my kids that was safe. And so I'm much grateful for that. This is a program for, I think, somebody who wants it and, just needs that like one last chance. I would like to share that, for anybody who's ready for recovery, and ready to, shine, to apply to Elijah Family Homes, and just know that, it might be hard at first, to ask for help and to do the little bit of footwork, but it's 100% worth it.
Our mission here is to help as many people as we possibly can that are suffering from vision loss, whether it's they've been years that way or just newly. We see a lot of people who come in, they're frightened, they don't know what to do, where to go, so we try to ease them into the possibilities of that there is help out there. We can't restore sight, but we can restore hope, and that's what we work towards. So people without vision are isolated a lot, and so the COVID-19 has increased that feeling and that isolation, and so we have tried to encourage them through a newsletter that we send out each month and through phone calls and reaching them best we can at this time. And we're very thankful to have started in September being able to see them again in their homes. And they are very, very happy about that and thankful. The grant will not only help us to see people, but it does the practical things like keeping the maintenance on the van that we use to take Sheila to her appointments to see people. So it's, not only touching the lives of people, but it's also doing those practical things too as well. And we're thankful for that very much.
Independent Living is a program offered through us by the State of Washington Department of Services for the Blind. And it allows us to help people who are age 55 and older for one reason or another not working. Whether they're displaced or in between jobs or first-time parents, stay-at-home parents. We help them to stay in their homes for as long as possible by providing the services that they need to learn to do after a vision loss. So cooking, cleaning, medication management, traveling, financial management, teaching them how to do those things as a person with vision loss. So learning how to write checks, learning how to use their appliances, learning how to organize their clothing, medications, getting them involved with services that they might not know they're eligible for, like dial-a-ride services and the Washington Talking Book and Braille Library, among many others. Well, a grant is a gift. It shows that you guys believe in us and your supporters believe in us and the work that we've been doing. And your continued support has allowed me to fulfill what the program means and what the mission and vision is of the Edith Bischel Center. A grant is a generous show of support from you guys to us, and we really appreciate that.
Ansel's mission is to bring hope to our community, and we do it through several different ways, through our young adult program and through our community empowerment program. It varies for why they have to come to Ansel and need our resources. Some have aged out of foster care, and some have, the home environment isn't conducive for their personal development or mental health, so they look for the opportunity to be independent without the support or the non-support of their families. Our young adult program, there's two different parts of our young adult program. We have our high school completion program and then our employment program. So that's for those young adults 18 to 24 that have not completed either their GED or high school diploma. Their requirement is to go back into high school, enroll, and graduate. If they have completed their GED or do have their high school diploma, then they're required to get a job. And all of this while providing a mentorship and an opportunity for them to be positive contributors to society. So the grant that we received from Three Rivers Community Foundation has been absolutely phenomenal. We can already see the improvement in the mental health or in the just excitement for not just our young adults, but the community in general. We're just trying to do our part, and we really believe that what we have can break barriers.
So the Tri-Cities Mutual Aid Network came together because we realized when COVID occurred that there would be people in our communities who would be falling through the gaps, who would not be eligible to receive stimulus or safety net programs that are put out through either federal or state government. This project came out of a desire to meet those needs, right, for those community members. And we brought together people from a variety of organizations, including Washington Immigrant Solidarity Network, and connected with Marcia Stipe of Tri-Cities Immigrant Coalition, who Marcia and the entire team were super generous and have become our fiscal sponsors in this project, and we really could not have come so far without them. This fund means a lot to our community because the people that we are looking to serve, I feel, are generally the last on everybody's list of people who need services. Washington is an agriculture, especially Eastern Washington. A lot of our workforce works in agriculture, and I feel like sometimes that is overlooked. And a lot of these people that work in agriculture, again, don't count on any of the state or federal safety nets, despite paying into a lot of those programs. And so I know that it means a lot to them to know that the community has their backs, that we see them, and that we value them, and that we know that the work that they do is important because it puts food on our tables, but beyond that, they are here, they are human too, and their lives matter.
We are a community-based volunteer organization that came together to educate our community, to provide assistance to our immigrant community, to be proactive in making the Tri-Cities a very informed community regarding our immigrants. Well, I'd just like to start with saying that the Three Rivers Foundation grant has meant a huge difference to our being able to fund the Tri-Cities Mutual Aid Network project. We've had over 400 applicants. We were able to fund over 100 individuals. 85% of those were families with children. 75% were women, very vulnerable population, and mostly people lost their jobs. The people the fund is meant for are those people that traditionally are in service positions. They work in restaurants, as Marisol said, they work in agriculture. These jobs were disproportionately affected by the pandemic, and so is the population that this fund serves. $150 to $400 goes a long ways for someone who's lost their job, who's been sick with COVID, who have children that are at home without food, money to pay utilities and rent. And as a matter of fact, paying rent and utilities is one of the high priorities that the applicants had. Those numbers, 400 applying, 100 grants given, we're only hitting a fourth of the population that has this great need. I really want to thank the Three Rivers Foundation for their contribution. That it has been significant. All of the money that Three Rivers Foundation has given will go to applicants. We fund until the money runs out. Our Tri-Cities community has been very supportive. Individuals have donated, organizations have donated, and it's really, as some of our applicants have said, I had no idea that people cared.
We have an average of 200 phone calls on our telephone alone, and an average of about 3,000 families or individuals that we help per year. Our usual route for services is someone calling in on the crisis line, our Facebook or our website pages, as well face-to-face contacts. Currently, because of coronavirus, we're utilizing the first three. And from there, we assess what the needs are. If there is a need for safety, then we address it right away by either getting the family or the individual into shelter and or a hotel voucher, which is what we're using right now in reference to coronavirus safety. From there, we analyze what other services are needed for the family in crisis, and we provide that, such as food, clothing, any other type of resources that they might need to be able to start getting financially stable and or moving from shelter status into the community. We have been helping to try to prevent deaths is our primary goal, helping families get back on track. The services have helped to educate the community in reference to looking out for signs for domestic violence. We work closely with the police department, clinics, and other agencies to try to help them understand how to look for signs to be able to help families that may not have the resources and or contact by phone. And trying to get the information out to the youth, especially because they're developing relationships with partners, and this is a really critical time on learning how to develop healthy relationships. We provide services in Spanish and English, and we also have the availability for additional languages that we can assist with. We are located in Kennewick, and we do have a shelter and some transitional housing as well that we provide to help the families move into a positive environment in the community. COVID has made a lot of changes. Our office has been closed for direct services, coming in and out of the office. We are still running our shelter, our 24-hour crisis line, and we're still assisting families. One of the changes that we had to make was to, for the safety of the families in shelter, is to provide hotel vouchers within the community so that families would be able to be under quarantine for 14 days before they enter the shelter and tested before they can enter the shelter for a longer term stay. We're requesting assistance to be able to continue the COVID response in reference to motel vouchers, which is really critical for us. We have had an abundance of calls within the COVID timeframe, and we need to have the assistance to be able to help families stay during the COVID quarantine before they can enter shelter. Three Rivers has been helping our organization in reference to our services for many years, and most recently has also assisted us with COVID grants to be able to assist our families in need through our services in Benton and Franklin counties. We really want to thank Three Rivers for helping us during these years, for helping us during COVID. We really appreciate the help that we are able to service Benton and Franklin counties better with domestic violence needs.
So Mirror Ministries has been operating for nearly 6 years now. We've been able to see hundreds of victims come through our doors, come through and get advocate services, that ongoing care and keeping and walking alongside in their healing process. In those hundreds of victims that have come through, we've seen survivors and thrivers coming out those doors. They come through, they are part of survivor support groups. So Mirror Ministries' mission is to respond to domestic minor sex trafficking with local education, intervention, restoration, and aftercare. And we do this because our vision is to see local victims become whole, healed, restored survivors that are going to be thriving in our community and be the next leaders in our community. So a lot of times a victim of trafficking with that complex trauma is not ready to sit down and talk with a counselor right that moment, because it's pretty intimidating to talk about those difficult things, but they are willing to join in with a survivor support group, or art therapy, or music therapy, or kickboxing, or trauma-informed movement. Those fun classes help to open up that healing and start that restoration. And then they start getting ready for that clinical counseling that's so desperately needed for that complex trauma. Right now we have 3 of the survivors that are working towards being mentors to other gals. So they are working through our mentor program to get those skills they need now that they are thriving in their new lives and their newfound freedom, to be able to really help restore other lives, because it's been a call on their heart to be able to return and give back where they saw the change in their life. Community support is the lifeblood, not only for Mirror Ministries, but for other agencies in our community. We work hand in hand with dozens and dozens of other agencies here in the Tri-Cities, because we know when we partner together, we can serve our community so much better. And we thank you for the supporters that help make that possible. Thank you to Three Rivers Community Foundation and the community members that support that.
These organizations are there for our neighbors in times of critical need, and Three Rivers is grateful for the opportunity to support their work. We couldn't award these grants without philanthropic individuals who established designated or donor-advised funds at Three Rivers, in addition to direct contributions from the community to our annual grant fund. We hope you'll consider joining these caring individuals. Learn more at 3rcf.org.